Hey, it's your boy, producer Mike.
And his new trainer, Alex.
Today we're going to talk about my transformation in progress, what's going on, how I've changed up my training regimen in preparation for the half marathon in October.
We're killing it with his new routine.
Let's get to podding. Welcome to 15-Minute Fitness Fix with Coach Kinsley. I'm producer Mike, senior editor for the podcast, and a former client of Coach Kinsley's who benefited from every rep until I heard,
3, 2, 1, let's go! Remember to always consult your physician before starting any nutrition or fitness regimen.
Let's talk about what you had first thought about when I talked to you about the half marathon.
So knowing that he had this goal of running the half marathon, I put him on the pattern split. So we look at hinge patterns one day, knee dominant patterns, push patterns, and pull. And then we also use functional core in all of our workouts. So this is going to help him reach that goal of running the half marathon because we're increasing his mobility in the areas that have tension or have restrictions. And we're also supplementing and adding in those strength gains, but in a functional way. So we're doing movement patterns that he does in his everyday life, that he's going to do on his runs, and we're working through those systems instead of working in isolation.
I still stay hydrated. I don't dehydrate. I keep my nutrition on point, keep my macronutrient ratio of 40 protein, 30 carbs, and 30-ish fats, whether it's more calories or less calories. And currently, because it's summer and I'm doing a lot of slow burn kind of stuff, and I'm not bragging, but I don't have as much fat to burn as I did before. And so at some point I've got to, I have to eat more. And that is sort of anathema to me because good gravy I ate a lot more way back in the day. I have transitioned to the mindset that food is fuel. And so during the day, I'm happy just kind of just fueling up as I go. And then, on days I have long runs, my pattern of eating has changed because I know I'm going to need some cheap carbs to burn and then protein afterwards. But other than that, I keep my nutrition on point, and that's a habit. A habit working with Coach Kinsley through trainer Nick and now trainer Alex. It's just something that I do. And hydration is so important. Rest is so important. I switched my off day. The day before the recording was a Saturday. I took that day off because after running last week and working out with trainer Alex last week, I was ready for a day off, and I felt it too. So today's another run day, and I'll do that later. And so, I think really that accountability piece was a big part of why I like working with a personal trainer, because you show up, have it all planned out, do the work, and then you get to walk away. Whereas at home, I'd feel guilty about, I could have gone heavier here, or, I spent too much time here. It really is having an accountability partner. And it's nice having trainers who know what they're doing. That's why you have a personal trainer.
Yeah, what I want to urge to people is go and try it, because there are plenty of qualified people out there who can help be that accountability partner for you. And like Mike was saying, all you have to do when you come and see us is show up. And it's unlike group fitness classes, which can be really motivating and, great to kind of get those endorphins and that energy up. But personal training allows it to be personal. It allows it to be tailored to exactly your needs, exactly your goals, and there's a little bit more flexibility. So you can come to a personal trainer with your concerns, with your goals, with the things that you want to do and change, and we can tailor that workout to what you need and want. Is it always going to be easy? No. But we're there to help you reach those goals and to help you find that confidence in the gym that is really different than any other type of fitness environment. Just having someone that can be there to tell you what to do or to hold you accountable can be really beneficial.
And I think you come bringing the habits with you, and they just help you shape them. You make the most efficient time and use out of that habit. And that's what I brought to the table with Coach Kinsley and trainer Nick, and then now trainer Alex. So
yeah, and I think we're always there to be that person to help push you in ways that maybe you don't think you could have been pushed. That's something we're really good at.
100%. So Alex, during this new training regimen for me, what do you kind of have planned going forward? I know we've done a variety of exercises, but I guess it'll be along that same philosophy that you had kind of discussed.
Yeah, so we've changed up your split a little bit just to work through the movement patterns, the large movement patterns, rather than the push-pull leg split. I also have a much heavier focus on mobility training at the beginning of our workout. So instead of doing static warm-up stretches, we're working on gaining that mobility through doing those kinds of exercises, through really trying to engage through different types of areas, use deep belly breathing to activate that intra-abdominal pressure, which is really important whenever you're working out in any sort of capacity. And then, of course, we're adding in our compound movements. So on a day with Mike, our typical workout looks like about 10 minutes or so of some mobility, some stretching, just to get us warmed up, get that body moving, increase that capacity for the joints. Then we move into our heavy lifts of the day, so our compound movements, the things that are really going to challenge him. And then finally, we have our accessories, so things that are going to just put that cherry on top, still continue to work through the physique, and a lot of the times those are our functional core movements. So with Mike, we're doing a lot of carries, we're doing a lot of overhead work, we're doing squats, hinges, lunges, his favorite. We're still working on that push and the pull because I know that that's important and we want to be sure that those muscles are still being developed. But again, we're looking at a much more holistic view of the body and of the movement systems rather than working just on one muscle group at a time.
And by cherry on top, she means me rolling around and sweating and only halfway doing the last part of the set. But hey, it is what it is.
I push him hard so that he'll make his progress.
So yeah, I just want to jump back in here and talk a little bit about the mobility aspect of this. It's something that I'd worked with Coach Kinsley, and then trainer Nick and I just focused on resistance. And it's interesting to get back into the mobility exercises because, like with Coach Kinsley, trainer Alex has me contorted in some kind of crazy, I don't know, it's a Turkish get up, it's a pistol squat, I don't know what it is. Honestly, I don't think I can do it. And actually, most of the way through the movement, being able to do it is a mental block for me. And so once I'm able to do it, then that kind of clears it and then makes me more willing to look at the movement and say, yes, I can, by producer Mike. Would you go a little bit about the difference between mobility and flexibility?
I want to start by saying you need to have flexibility in order to have mobility. But mobility is the ability of our joints to move properly through motion. So it's a little bit more dynamic. Flexibility is just focused on that static stretching. So that's the lengthening of the muscles, that's being able to adequately do that. So you need to be able to lengthen and have the flexibility of those joints and muscle groups, in order to have mobility. But mobility really focuses on how we can look at the system in a dynamic way so that as you're squatting, as you're hinging, as you're running in your day-to-day, all of those joints and all of those muscles are firing properly and moving properly so that you can complete the movement easier and with more function.
So yeah, I was curious what the difference was because, I figured strength training, I'm going to have stronger legs, I'm going to have stronger arms, and isn't that going to be enough to help me run better? Apparently there's a philosophy behind it that I could do more. So what is that?
So if one area of our body is not strong or not as mobile as another part, the place that's stronger will find a way to compensate for that. Our bodies are really great at finding ways to compensate. But the difficulty is that A, you're not functioning as best as you can be, and B, a lot of times people can have pain. I like to use the philosophy of regional interdependence, and I think the best way to think about this concept is that even though we may be having pain in one area, it may not always be linked directly to that area. So lack of ankle mobility can actually cause a lot of problems for the rest of our leg structures if we don't correct it. Or if we're having, weakened glutes, we may be feeling back pain. You can think of it like an assembly line. If one guy in the assembly line is not doing his job, all of the others have to compensate for him, which causes a complete lack of stability, it causes lack of function, and at the end of the day, you're not working as best as you can be. So whole body mobility movements in all of the workouts that we're doing is really helpful because it allows you to use all of those systems to their maximum potential.
So then I have what I perceive as being hip pain, but I think it's actually my gluteus medius, which feels like a hip joint, but really it's part of the posterior chain, right? And so, I mean, what would then how would we address that? Other than me just getting a Theragun and putting it in that spot for 5 minutes.
So again, we're going to want to think about strengthening those glutes. So we're going to work through those glute exercises that are really targeting that area to help that. And then in our mobility section of our workout, we're also going to be looking at those hips. We're going to be looking at how they move, how we can use exercise to supplement. And then at the end of our workout, we're going to be working on that static stretching, that flexibility, lengthening, and being sure that we're hitting all those areas in one day so that we can correct the areas that are having their weak points.
All right, Coach Alex, I appreciate you sharing some time with us. Hit the highlights for us. Wait, did I call you Coach Alex? Oh, I meant Trainer Alex.
So.
Sorry.
Trainer Alex. Okay. Yeah, so I have the opportunity to work with Mike 3 days a week. So in our 3 days, again, we're going to be working on that very functional movement pattern. We're going to be pushing him in domains that he hasn't felt before. We're also going to be working through mobility. So we want to assess the areas that need improvement: shoulders, hips, ankles. This is pretty much everyone I know could improve their mobility. And again, this will just help our joints move in their best way possible so that we're priming and prepping before we're loading. So we're correcting any imbalances, we're working through any difficulties or any tough spots before we're adding load, because at the end of the day, if those movement patterns are not seamless and there are glitches in them, you're not going to be able to load in the way that you want to, and you're not going to be able to see the numbers and the progression that you want to see because your body just isn't moving at its best capacity. So really focusing on mobility in that beginning part of our workout. And then finally, of course, always emphasizing taking those rests, having adequate nutrition, and hydrating throughout the workout and then after our workout so that he can be his best self and continue to show up and work hard every time that we have a training session.
Thank you so much for joining us today on 15-Minute Fitness Fix with Coach Kinsley. The fun doesn't need to stop here. Email me at coach@coachkinsley.com. You can check out my webpage, coachkinsley.com, and also find me on Instagram at, you guessed it, Coach Kinsley. Your girl. See you next week. Boom.